Okay, for several years, many of you have been asking me to build a swing set with a deck on it. And maybe I got a bit carried away. I mean, a sail that flies in the wind? It's actually one of the easiest things to make and really entertaining for the kids. But this set comes out really solid. It's really fun for the kids. And one of the really nice things about this set is you can build the A-frame structure and the swings in just a few hours and get the kids swinging already. And while they're swinging, you can work on the rest or come back to it later. This set features really tall 10-foot swings, 3 ship mast climbing ropes, one of the ropes on a high-performance swivel so they can spin to their heart's content, a 5-foot deck fashioned like the bow of a ship, an authentic ship steering wheel, a 9-foot wavy slide, an aqua blue shade sail, the color of the ocean, to keep them cool in the sun, with matching climbing rope, and a real pirate's flag at the top of the mast of a large sail that flies freely in the breeze. How cool is this? It even holds up to a strong southern squall. The deck is super simple to make. Always comes out stable and level because it's a triangle resting on 3 legs. There's so many different things you could put on this set. Where I put a crazy spinny seat on a swivel, you could put a climbing cargo net up that whole side of the A-frame that your kids can climb up and throw themselves over the top of to board the scurvy ship. So these are my ideas for a really fun set, based on many years of making play sets and what kids like most. And while this video will give you complete instructions for how to build this set, you will have to decide on your own what is safe for your kids, and build it to your own safety specifications, because it cannot be denied that swing sets are inherently dangerous. Having said that, let me show you how to build this set. Okay, this set is going to use a 16-foot beam, and since a 4x6 lumber in that length wouldn't be strong enough, and a 6x6 would be hard to find, I'm going to make my own beam out of 2x6 lumber. 2x6 lumber is readily available. I can pick out the nicest pieces, and a beam made like this won't twist and crack like a big 6x6 could. For this, I'll use a whole box of this Deckmate 2.5-inch deck screw. Comes with a Torx bit instead of a Phillips head screw, which are a lot easier to drive in. I like driving all the screws in from the same side so that my beam has no screw heads showing on one side. And here's my spacing for the screws. After you drive the screws from one board to the next, you then mark the sides of the board with where those screws went, so that when you put the next board on top, you won't run into the same screws. Because the screws of the next board you shift about a 1/2 inch over from where you marked. And repeat. And here you have the finished beam. I'm now going to stain the beam and the 4x4 legs. These 4x4 legs are 12 feet long. I use a 4-inch roller and a 4-inch tray, which lately you can get from Dollar Tree, and I use a 3-inch brush from Dollar Tree. The stain I'm using is a Behr Premium Exterior stain, and the color I'm using is chestnut. No need to take notes here because everything is listed and where to get it at my website roomtozoom.com. And if you want to treat the bottom of the legs with a wood preservative, you just don't stain the bottom 2 inches of the legs. And then you just stand them up and soak them overnight in wood preservative. For the set, you want to use good brackets so that it comes out strong and stable. These brackets are made with much thicker steel than all the rest. It's almost an 1/8 inch thick. They are one of the very few brackets with a 60-degree angle between the legs, so that you don't have to set the feet in concrete so that the set won't tip. And they're about the only brackets that will work with a beam of any width, such as this beam which we fabricated from 4 2x6s. There are some Chinese rough imitations of this bracket out there. You won't want to use them, they all have major design flaws. These brackets use a carriage bolt to connect the two sides. You just set the bracket where you want it, in this case flush to the end. Then you drill just halfway through the beam. Flip the beam over and place the other bracket flush to the end of the beam. Mark the hole and then drill all the way through to connect the two holes. On this end of the beam, I have the beam overhanging 30 inches past the bracket. Place the bracket at the 30-inch mark, mark the hole, and drill halfway through. Flip the beam over, put the bracket at the same 30-inch mark, mark the hole, and drill all the way through. Place a 1/2 inch washer, then a 3/8 washer over that, and then a 3/8 lock nut. And then tighten. And then drive in screws. I like using these headlock screws, which are a strong structural fastener. And attach all 4 legs with the same fasteners. And then stand it up. Get plenty of people to help you with this and be really careful, because not only is it a very tall set, it's a heavy beam as well. After you have it stood up in the place in the yard where you want it, grab and adjust each leg to its best position. Now my horizontal cross pieces are designed around ending up with a 5-foot deck height. I'm using 8-foot 4x4s for these pieces. Measure up from the bottom of the foot 68 inches and mark it. At this mark, drill into the leg with a 5/16 inch drill bit, most of the way through but not all the way through. On the cross pieces themselves, measure in 3 inches and drill all the way through with a 3/8 inch drill bit. Insert a 6-inch 3/8 lag screw, or lag bolt if you will, through the hole with washer and tighten. Raise the cross piece up, put a level on it, and with it level, eyeball where the center of the cross piece would cross with the center of the leg and make a mark there. And holding it in place, drill through this mark with a 5/16 drill bit all the way through the cross piece and starting into the leg. Now lower the cross piece and finish drilling into the leg with the 5/16 drill bit, but don't drill all the way through it. And on the cross piece, re-drill through that hole you made with a 5/16 inch drill. Re-drill it now with a 3/8 inch drill bit. Insert a 6-inch 3/8 lag screw with washer and tighten. And then repeat to put the second cross piece on the other side of the set. Your A-frame structure is now built. If you want to get the kids swinging already before you finish the deck, just skip ahead in this video to the part for installing the swing hangers and hanging the swings. Okay, and now we'll make the deck, and it's easy to make. The deck frame is made from 4 pieces of 8-foot long 2x4 lumber. Start by cutting 2 pieces that will be the front and back sides of this triangle. They each have a 30-degree cut on one end of them, and they measure 73.5 inches at their longest point. And just a straight cut on the other end. Then cut a third board that is 76 inches long with straight cuts on both ends. Now take each of the boards with the 30-degree cut and hold each flush to one end of the 76-inch long board. And then connect each with 2 of these 2.5-inch screws, first pre-drilling through just the first board with a drill bit the same diameter as the screw. And then drive in the 2 screws. And then measure in 2.5 inches and pre-drill through just the first board with a 1/4-inch drill bit. And then drive in these 2 hex head lag screws with a 1/4-inch washer on each, which are 4 inches long and a 1/4-inch thick. And repeat this for the other side so that 2 corners are like this. And then these 2 ends here that aren't attached to anything, just hold the 2 of them together lined up like this. And then grab any old piece of scrap board you have lying around and pre-drill it with the same diameter of any screws you want to use. This is just a temporary thing we're putting in. And drive 1 screw into each board to hold them in this position. Now cut 2 40-inch long boards with a straight cut on one end and a 60-degree cut on the other. Hold them in place, just eyeballing about where they should go. Nothing needs to be exact here at all. And then pre-drill through the first board and drive in these 3-inch screws. 2 screws. And then pre-drill through the angled end and drive in these 2.5-inch screws. And attach both of these boards this way. And now with the deck frame done, this will be another temporary step, but grab 2 pieces of scrap lumber, pre-drill them, and attach them to the bottom of the horizontal crosspiece like this. No exact position, just anywhere. They'll be helping us to hold up the deck frame. Then just lift up and rest the one end of the deck frame on these boards. Then cut a 4x4 post a little longer than you think you're going to end up needing. And lift up this point of the deck. And just position the post underneath the deck. It doesn't have to be screwed to the deck or anything. And eyeball it or throw a level on it. And estimate how much you need to trim off the post for the deck to sit completely level. And trim the post and then place it back in place. Then to attach the deck to the horizontal crosspiece, first center the deck between the A-frame legs. Then drill through the deck piece with a 3/8 drill bit. And then come back with a 5/16 drill bit and through this hole pre-drill a bit into the horizontal crosspiece. And then drive in the 3 lag screws with washer. They are 3/8 by 3-inch lag screws. And now returning to the post, check that it looks level, and you'll see that just one side of the post sits flush with the frame, but that's okay. Pre-drill with a 3/16 inch drill bit all the way into the post, Then come back and enlarge the hole through just the deck frame piece with a 1/4-inch drill bit, and drive in 1/4-inch lag screws with washer that are 3.5 inches long. Then remove the temporary board here on top of the deck and the two that are underneath the crosspiece. For the top of the deck, I have 7 8-foot 2x6s, and then two 2x4s that are 8 feet long for the braces. The two diagonal braces are 80 inches long each, with a 60-degree cut on one end, and a compound angle on the other end cut at 30 degrees with the blade also tilted at 30 degrees. Pre-drill holes in the diagonal brace with the same diameter as the screws you will use. And at the top end, pre-drill with a smaller drill bit into the side of the deck frame where the brace will connect. And then drive in the screws. I'm using headlock screws. For the deck, I cut the boards at 30 degrees and overhanging each side of the deck frame by 6 inches. Out of your 7 2x6 boards, you can cut the 11 pieces that will make up the deck. If you like, you can cut and place the first one, and then use it to figure out the measurements for the second board, and so on. Or if you prefer, you can overhang the boards without a 30-degree cut, and after they're all in place, use a skill saw to cut a perfectly straight edge of the deck, overhanging by 6 inches. You'll need perhaps a few extra pieces of 2x6 lumber if you do it this second way. With either way, you'll end up with 11 boards on the deck. 2x6 boards, that is, and then one 2x4 board cut to size to fit in between the legs. And then using 2.5-inch deck screws, put 2 screws into each end of each deck board into the triangular frame. Now for the railing, you see there's a top and bottom board on each side, or a total of 4 boards. These 4 2x4s are going to get cut to 34 inches in length, with a 30-degree cut on one end and a straight cut on the other. They are positioned like this, with the 30-degree cuts flush to the corners of the deck. Hold in place and pre-drill with a 9/64 drill bit into the middle of a deck board. Remove and finish drilling into deck board. And then enlarge the holes of just this outer railing board with a 7/32 drill bit. And then drive in 2 screws. I'm using the same headlock screws that I used for the brackets. Repeat these steps to do the bottom board of the other side. And then measure to know the exact length to cut the end piece with 30-degree cuts on each end. I'm going to use 3 of the same 2.5-inch deck screws that I used for the deck to attach this piece. Pre-drill with a smaller drill bit and drive in the screws. Now cut 11 pieces, each 22 inches long, with straight cuts. Stand them up, they just rest on the deck, and spacing them evenly, attach 3 on each side. Pre-drill with a 7/64 drill bit through just the outside board. And connect each, for now, with just one 2.5-inch deck screw. And then repeat for attaching the top railing pieces. As you do so, checking that the stood up pieces are nice and vertical. After you get the top pieces on, go back and add a second screw to each connection of all the railings. Now with 6 vertical pieces on, come back and add the remaining 5 in between the other boards. These 5 remaining boards can be screwed in from the deck side if you want. Space them evenly and ensure that the space between the boards is less than the size of a child's head. And now, whether you will be adding a steering wheel or not, you must add this horizontal piece between the 2 sides of the railings for strength and structural integrity. You measure the distance to see what size to cut it with 30-degree cuts on both ends, and then attach it with 2 2.5-inch deck screws on each end. The wood piece sitting above this horizontal 2x4 you can ignore for now. And then you can come back and add 2 more of these black headlock screws through the bottom railing and into the deck, so now you have 4 on each side. And now to hold the steering wheel, I cut a 2x6 15 inches long and lopped off the 2 corners at 45 degrees for something like this. And then with a 13/16 drill bit, I drilled in as far as I could without coming out the other side. And then this board is held on by 2 5-inch by 1/4 inch screws. Drill 2 holes all the way through the 2x4 with a 1/4 inch drill bit. And then drive in the 2 screws from the bottom. Now the steering wheel is held on with PVC plumbing pipe. The 4 pieces are a 1/2-inch coupling and a 1/2-inch cap, both without threads. 2 pieces of 1/2-inch Schedule 40 pipe, one cut about 2 7/8 inch and the other one cut about 1 3/4 inch. These 2 pieces go into the coupling, and I spray painted them brown. And then the end of this assembly with the shorter piece goes into the hole you drilled into the wood. And the wheel goes over the longer piece within the cap placed over the end. The end of the pipe that goes into the wood you can glue in place or not if you want to be able to pull off the wheel during the winter time. I love this large wooden steering wheel, which appears to be made out of teak, and I'll link here as to where to get it. It comes with a protective finish on it, but if you want it to hold up even better to the elements, you might just dump a spray can of polyurethane on it. And now the stairs are also easy to make. You just cut 2 2x4s with a 30-degree cut and then a 60-degree cut, with the 60-degree cut being about 3.5 inches long, like the width of a 2x4. And the other end just has a straight cut. And these are 71.25 inches long, but you might cut yours like around 74 inches and hold them up to the set and then lop off the straight end to the size you need. And for the stair steps, you cut 5 pieces 17 inches long. You lay your boards down like this. From the bottom end with the straight cut, you measure and mark at 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, and 5 foot. And you can use a board to square up the 2 sides. And then what will be the top of each step you hold even with those foot marks. You can use a scrap piece with a 30-degree cut on it to help you hold each step at the proper angle. And you attach each side with 2 2.5-inch deck screws. You then cut a board 24 inches long. And this will go on the back side flush with the top of the stairs and attach with 2 2.5-inch deck screws each side. Then cut a 20-inch board and attach this piece on the back side between the top and the step closest to the top. Pre-drill with a smaller drill bit before you attach with 2 2.5-inch deck screws each side. And then cut 2 24-inch pieces and 1 piece about 19 inches. Attach the 19-inch piece about here with 3 deck screws. And then attach one of the 24-inch boards on top, flush on the left side with 3 screws. And the other 24-inch board on top of that one. And then the stair assembly itself with 3 screws flush with the other boards. Like the stairs, the slide gets centered in the opening. And we'll use these 1/4 by 1.5 inch panhead screws. Pre-drilling first with a 5/32 bit. And driving the screws with a 1/4 inch washer. And now we'll install the spinny seat with a climbing rope. I've tried a bunch of swivels, and this is the one I like the best for functionality and for ease of installation. And it's all stainless steel and comes with stainless steel lag screws. I'll provide a link to it here. For instance, this is a different swivel that I tried. It doesn't have as good spinning action. The bearings are more exposed to the elements. It only uses 2 lag screws, and the arm on it doesn't pivot, which really limits the fun. Or this swivel here has good spinning action, but it's more complicated to try and install to the beam. As it rocks, it will grind on the hardware you use to attach it to the beam. I'm centering the swivel 5 inches from the end of the beam. Pre-drill with the bit that the swivel comes with and drive in the lag screws. For disc swings, again, I've tried a bunch, and this one's got the best design and strength. For instance, this one here, you can't really see too good, but it doesn't have as strong of a way it attaches at the bottom. And here's another one that, like the one I just showed you, has these plastic handholds instead of knots. The beauty of the knots is in an instant you can change where they're positioned along the rope for the kids. Or you can add or remove knots to change the height of the swing. With these other disc swings I showed you, you can't do that at all. You can't. With the ones that have the plastic handholds, you can't adjust them at all. There is a risk, a danger to make you aware of with these disc swings, and that is that a kid can wrap the rope around some part of their body. So you'll want to instruct your kids never to wrap the rope around themselves. Alright, so now we'll do the swing hangers. Be careful working at this height. If you want, you can install the hangers on the beam when the beam is still on the ground before you lift the structure. Measure 18 inches from the end of the beam for the center of the first hanger. Center the hanger on this mark, and then drill all the way through with a 3/8 drill bit. Take a 7" by 3/8 hex bolt, put a 3/8 inch washer over it, and then a 1/2 inch washer, and then pound it in from the top. Place the hanger over the bolt, a 1/2 inch washer, and then a 3/8 washer, and then a 3/8 lock nut. Hold in place, mark the other hole, and drill all the way through. Insert the bolt with the washers and tighten. Over the next year you may need to retighten a couple of times as the lumber can shrink. Swing hangers will ship out with lag screws like this one, but I wouldn't use them because over time they're just not as secure. Position the center of the next swing hanger at 20 inches from the center of this first one. And repeat the steps to install this one. Now measure 14 inches from the center of this hanger to the center of the next. And repeat the installation. And then the final hanger is centered at 20 inches from this one. Now for swing seats, I really like this one. It's the most comfortable seat, it's got great rope on it, and it's adjustable. And it's the only seat I've found that comes with long enough ropes for a 10-foot beam. But I have seen 2 versions of it. This one here that has the steel metal adjusters, and this other version here that has the black plastic adjusters. If you happen to receive this one with the black plastic adjuster, the rope is a little shorter on it, and you can make the rope long enough by cutting off the black plastic adjuster. The roof is so simple. I use a shade sail, which is super cheap but super durable. And I'll provide a link to it here. Cut 2 pieces of 3/4 inch copper pipe to 30 inches in length. Drill a hole all the way through the pipe next to where the cap goes. Measure down 59 inches from the top of the beam. Then with a 7/8 drill bit, drill perpendicularly into the leg in this direction, but at a 15-degree angle in this direction. Make the hole about 2 3/4 inches or 3 inches deep. Don't go all the way through the leg. Insert the copper poles into these holes and attach the end of the sail to the ends of the copper poles. I used these industrial safety pins from Home Depot and this paracord, this nylon paracord from Dollar Tree, which I just wrapped around, tied, and trimmed the ends. But you could use wire or about anything you want to attach them. And after you attach these 2 ends to the copper poles, grab the 3rd end of the shade sail and pull it tight along the top of the beam. And attach this end with a screw. Be extra careful while you work at this height. And now on to making the sail. The sail is also made from an inexpensive shade sail. It's a waterproof shade sail with a tighter weave to catch the wind better. And again, I'll provide a link to it here. The mast is made from 1-inch copper pipe. I used class M, which is thinner and cheaper, but you can use whichever class. Cut the piece to 113 inches, or if you don't want to cut a piece, you can use it as it comes from the store at 120 inches and put a bigger flag on it or have a little bit taller mast. Slip a 1-inch by 3/4 inch PVC T without threads on it over the bottom end of the copper pipe. And then take a panhead screw, self-tapping like this one, or just a regular sheet metal screw, and then insert it at 7 1/2 inches from the bottom of the copper pipe. And then get a piece of 3/4 inch PVC pipe, class 200, and cut it to 84 3/4 inches. Now there's a lot of ways you could attach these 2 points of the sail to the end of this PVC pipe. You could just drill a hole through the pipe and attach them with a wire. But this is the way I did it. I cut a slit down the middle of the pipe 1 3/4 inches long. And then with a 3/16 inch drill bit, I drilled holes at 1 5/8 inch and at 7/8 inch from the end of the pipe. And then I took a 3/16 quick link, like this, and connected both points of the sail to it. And pushed it into the slit from the end of the pipe. Down into the pipe, and it'll stop. And then just push a 3/4 inch cap over the end. And you don't have to glue any of these PVC connections. To connect the top of the sail, cut 2 short pieces, each just 1 7/8 inch long, of 1-inch class 200 PVC pipe. In one of these pieces, drill a hole on one side of it, right in the middle of it, with a 3/32 drill bit. Through this hole, attach this piece to the copper mast with a panhead screw again, self-tapping if you wish, with the screw positioned at exactly 92 inches from the bottom of the mast. Take the second piece of 1-inch PVC pipe that you cut and slide it down over the top of the mast. And with 3 or 4 zip ties, which I got from Dollar Tree, tie the top of the sail tightly to this piece. You can use some pliers to pull on the ends tightly. And then the flag you can simply attach by drilling holes in the pipe and using wire or zip ties. But I use these 1/4 by 1 1/4 hitch pins. I drilled 2 holes through the center line of the pipe with a 1/4-inch drill bit, one at 1.5 inches from the end of the pipe and the other one at 16 inches from the end of the pipe. And then you just insert the hitch pins into the holes. And place a 1-inch copper cap over the top of the mast. Disconnect and pull back this end of the roof sail. And then at 81 inches from the end of the beam that does not have the disc swing on it, drill a hole 4 inches deep with a 1 1/8 inch drill bit. Drill the hole as straight and vertical as possible so that your mast ends up being straight and vertical. Put the roof sail back in place, mark where the hole is, and cut out a hole from the sail. The sail is then just inserted into this hole. If you want to make your sail extra secure, you drive in a screw in line with where the pole is until you hit the pole. Remove the pole and drill a hole where the screw left the mark. Place the mast back into the beam and drive the screw into the hole you just drilled. You can caulk around the mast hole if you want, and around the roof poles if you want. The climbing rope is a large, soft, beautiful rope. I'll link to it here. Drill both legs 12 inches from the bottom with a 7/8 drill bit. And drill the same size hole in the beam at 3.5 inches from the end and 3 inches from the bottom of the beam so as to not run into the lag screw that hold the swivel below it. Feed half of the rope through the beam, tie a knot on each side of the beam, and tie knots coming down the rope. Then feed it through the leg and tie a knot on the back side of the leg. Cut and glue or burn the ends of the rope. You want this climbing rope to end up as taut as possible, for fun, but also for personal safety. Ta-da! We're done! And if you want to see my next fun projects, please like and subscribe. And you can go to my website, roomtozoom.com, for complete lists and links to everything you need to build this crazy fun swing set. And to see other great playsets you can make.